everybody, and welcome to the class. Thank you so much for attending. Nothing really new here today. So yesterday a little haircut, and it was DIY. In English we say DIY, and the significance is do it yourself. So a homemade haircut. That was yesterday, and also a walk to the city centre. That was the most of my activity yesterday. We did a webinar yesterday in relation to grammar. So yesterday we had the specific webinar at 4 o'clock, and it was really good. We focused on the topic of the conditional and the topic of if only and wish. A little complicated and probably a little advanced, but that was the content of yesterday's webinar at 4 o'clock, and we will continue next Monday at 4 o'clock with the same grammar webinar, and you are welcome to join. So that was my day yesterday, the webinar, walk to the city centre, little haircut, and also a lot of ironing. So a lot of ironing at home. So that was my activity yesterday, and this morning a little exercise, and now we have the class. So if you want to join the meeting, of course it's on Zoom and Facebook Live, but the code for the meeting is here on the bottom left. That's the meeting ID and the passcode if you want to join and participate in Zoom. Maybe some people prefer using Zoom to attend the class, and some people prefer Facebook Live. So there are two options. Also at the top left we have the social media, and Instagram. I'm very active at the moment with all my pictures on Instagram, so hopefully it's not annoying a lot of people. But the name on Instagram is @miljora_inglés, and on Twitter it's @miljora1. But most of the content on Twitter is the same as Facebook, and also I have the YouTube channel with almost the same content as the free classes on Facebook. So there are 3 social media channels, and you are welcome to join if you want. Also again, today we have a different webinar. So today at 4 o'clock in Dublin there's a specific webinar in relation to football language. So probably football and sport in general. We will concentrate on vocabulary and expressions in relation to football and in relation to sport. But it is a very interesting topic and a very interesting class, because the vocabulary in sports, you can see in the newspaper, is very colourful, very dramatic, and it's probably a very good topic and a very good class to learn a lot of expressions and vocabulary. So everybody is welcome. It's not just for people interested in sport. You can learn a lot of vocabulary anyway. So that's the plan for today at 4 o'clock. And if the numbers are small, maybe it's a good opportunity to practice some speaking in that hour. So if you want to participate and if you want to attend the webinar today at 4 o'clock, just contact me by Messenger or contact me by WhatsApp, and you can confirm your place. And there's a small payment of €2.90, which is possible by PayPal, Revolut, Bizum, or the bank transfer if you prefer. So just contact me if you are interested, and that is the plan for today at 4 o'clock. You can see the event is created already in the Facebook page, and that is the plan for today. So it should be very, very good. And again, it's a good opportunity for everybody to learn a little vocabulary from the topic of sport. Okay, so today the agenda is a little different. You can see here the agenda for today. So it's a little shorter and less content. So first we will begin with the introduction document as always. So I will explain some grammar concepts at the beginning, and after the introduction document we will continue with a list of phrasal verbs in particular. So today we will concentrate on phrasal verbs and also idioms. So that's the plan and the agenda for today, and of course some speaking participation if you want. Okay, so just in relation to the expression at the beginning, DIY is very typical in English, and the significance is do it yourself. So we have a lot of DIY shops which are similar to hardware shops, and hardware shops are the type of shops where you buy material for the house if you're constructing something in the house, similar to IKEA, very, very similar in the concept to IKEA, hardware store, sorry. So yeah, DIY is very famous, and also in particular to football and sport. If you are a DIYer, the significance is you are not a team player. You're very individual. You keep the ball yourself. That's just vocabulary I'm preparing for today's class already. Okay, so that's the agenda for today. And to begin, I'm going to share my screen and I will show you the introduction. So again, most people are probably very familiar with the introduction, of course. Maybe in the future I will probably record one video to explain the introduction, and I will possibly put the video on my Facebook page pinned to the top. But I still think it's very important every day to discuss and to learn and to refresh all the grammar topics. Okay, so hopefully we have no problem with technology, with the Wi-Fi, with the connection, with the computer. Hopefully there's no big disruption. Of course, we have a lot of people at home. We have my dog, so it's possible you hear a little noise sometimes, but hopefully everything is okay. Subtitles are available. If you want to try and understand my crazy Dublin accent and my crazy Dublin language, you probably should use subtitles, but maybe Facebook have difficulty understanding me also. But it's a good option. You have subtitles and captions available if you want, and maybe that will help you. Okay, so for me, there are three very, very important sections for me in English. The first section is use of English. The second section are different tenses. And the third section is just extra and other grammar topics you can see in yellow. Okay, and to begin, we're going to analyze the use of English section, and every day it's the same concept, and it's important that you remember every day, every time, the different constructions and the different concepts and structures for English. Okay, so accents. We have lots of different accents around the world. You have an accent in Australia, very different. You have an accent in England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, United States, Canada, New Zealand. We have lots of different accents in English, and people speak very quickly. Some people speak very clearly. Some people speak very, very particular and very unique. So it's extremely difficult to listen and to understand people on the street, in the supermarkets, and that's a big area for you to improve English. It's maybe the most difficult. I know we have people in London and people in Dublin, so I sympathize with you, because I lived in Madrid and I know it's very difficult to understand local speakers. So it's not easy, and for me, I have a few particular pronunciation characteristics. For example, the U is possible very strong in Ireland. It's possible I say must, Dublin, butter, bus. So sometimes the U for me and in Ireland is very strong, but of course phonetically in the book it's different. They would say Dublin, bus, butter. Okay, so the U is possible very strong for me. The TH is also very unique, maybe with Irish pronunciation. So phonetically correct is this, that, these, those, Thursday. But for me, sometimes, and in Ireland, it's like a D. This, that, these, those, Thursday. So it's just particular accent for Ireland, and it's better that you are aware, and it's better that you are conscious of the issue. Okay. Also, OU can be very strong in Ireland. Now instead of now. House. So sometimes the O and the OU are very, very strong. Okay. In the use of English, phrasal verbs are a big part of conversation, a big part of writing, a big part of listening. And phrasal verbs is the concept of the verb plus the preposition, and it's possible a literal significance, but it's also possible a second completely different significance. And we use phrasal verbs every moment, with family, with friends, formal situations, informal situations, movies. Every single situation with English, phrasal verbs exist, and phrasal verbs are a huge part of English, and they're very particular to English. They're very unique to English, and during my classes I try to identify a lot the phrasal verbs. And today we have a big document here in relation to phrasal verbs. You can see there are 20 pages of phrasal verbs, but really we have thousands and thousands and thousands of phrasal verbs. But today I want to continue with this list to explain little by little some of the phrasal verbs. Okay, very, very similar concept with idioms, because idioms are like expressions or phrases, but similar in the sense we use idioms all the time with family situations, friends, movies, formal situations, business situations. Idioms are a huge part of English, and we use idioms all the time. So it's a big recommendation from me for you to focus a lot on phrasal verbs and idioms. And today I will identify and I will continue with the list of idioms. Okay? Conversation and pronunciation, of course, is a huge part as well of English. So if you are fortunate to speak English, and if you are fortunate to have somebody to practice English speaking with, that's a very good thing to have. And I recommend, of course, that you try to practice speaking as much as possible. For me, it's possible during the class. If you want to practice speaking today, you can join with the meeting code is here, and you are welcome to join the Zoom call to participate. And also soon I may organize a specific speaking class for maybe 10 people where we can only practice speaking in the hour, for example. So that's a good plan for the future. We might create a speaking specific class soon. Okay, and of course pronunciation is very important, and in English we have some particular issues in relation to pronunciation. We have some irregular pronunciation, and during the class I try a lot to identify and to help with the pronunciation. Okay, so you can see a little list here: yellow jacket, cash register, so the SH and the G, a jet engine, the J and the G, fragile, the I and the G, jealousy, yearly, chicken and kitchen. So just a little small example of some difficult pronunciation words. The tenses in English, we have lots of different tenses, and I think every language, well, the majority of languages I think have, of course, different tenses. So in English you need to be conscious and you need to be aware: are you speaking in the present, do you speak in the past, or do you speak in the future? And at the beginning of the class it's important I introduce some little English concepts for tenses. So we have the simple, the present simple, one action you do in the present and possibly regularly: I drink, I go, I eat. Then we have the past simple, which is one action that's completed and finished in the past, but usually the regular suffix, the regular ending for the past simple is ed. So look, looked. Okay, talk, talked, ask, asked. Usually it's ed in the past, but unfortunately we have a lot of irregular verbs in the past simple. We have so many irregular verbs. For example, bring, brought, take, took, eat, ate, go, went. So we have a lot of irregular verbs, and you just have to be familiar and you have to try to recognize the past simple and the irregular. The future, we have two possibilities: will plus the verb I will go, you will go, he will eat, she will eat. So will eat and will plus the verb is number one, and going to plus the verb: going to eat, going to drink, going to sleep. That's the possible structure for the future, the past simple and the present simple. The next idea is the continuous, one action you do continuously in the present, and the structure is I am eating, you are drinking, she is going. So the subject, the verb to be, and the ing, that's the present continuous. We have the same concept with the past continuous: I was eating, you were eating, she was drinking. So again, the subject, the verb to be, and the ing, that's the past continuous, the period of time with the activity continuously in the past. We also have the future continuous, which is a period of activity continuously in the future, and the construction is very similar, except the verb to be is in the future: I will be eating, I will be drinking. So that's the simple and the continuous. We also have the perfect. So we have the present perfect, the past perfect, and the future perfect. So the present perfect is the period of time that the action is finished, it's completed, but the consequences are very related and relevant to the present. So the structure is subject, extra verb have, and the participle of the verb. The participle is the third column. You know, in school, go, went, gone, you have 3 columns. So the participle is the third column, and that's important in the structure for the present perfect and the past perfect. Remember, the continuous, you have the gerund. So it's not the participle, it's the gerund in the continuous, but the perfect, you have the participle plus the extra auxiliary verb have. One example, I have eaten my breakfast. So eat is the verb, ate is the past, and eaten is the participle. I have eaten my breakfast, so it's finished, it's in the past, but it is related and relevant to now, because at the moment I am not hungry. That's the concept of the present perfect. The past perfect is the period in the past, usually before another action in the past simple, and the structure of the past perfect is similar to the present perfect, except the extra verb have is in the past. So I had eaten my breakfast before my friend contacted me. Okay, so usually it's before another action in the past simple, and a little more advanced in the future, it's possible. The perfect, I will have eaten my breakfast before my friend will contact me. So that's the concept of the simple, the continuous, and then the perfect as well. So definitely you need to be very, very familiar, and you need to consider and contemplate the different tenses, okay, because they are very, very important and they're a big fundamental part of the language. The idea of the infinitive. So the infinitive is the base or the foundation of the verb, and typically it's to go, to eat, to drink, to have, to sleep, to walk. That's the infinitive, okay? To. In Spanish it's para beber, para andar, para pasear, para beber again. So the infinitive is important because during the class I mentioned a little about the infinitive. The next idea is the conditional. So we have a lot of theory in relation to the conditional, and in the book, if you study the conditional, the theory is a little heavy, a little depressing, a lot of rules, and a little difficult to understand. Definitely the conditional. And yesterday in the grammar webinar we focused a little on the conditional in relation to if only and wish, and there were a lot of particular rules. For example, if only and wish have the same significance, except if only is stronger. But if you want to express wish in the past, you need to use the past perfect. If you want to express wish in the present, you need to use the next verb in the past. And if you want to express wish in the future, you need to use would plus the verb. So I wish I would go to Italy is a future expression. I wish I had gone to Italy is the past expression, and I wish I went to Italy is maybe for the present. So you can see the conditional is very tricky and a lot of rules, but in reality, in conversation, it's very flexible in my opinion. There are less rules. It is less strict in reality in relation to the conditional. It's related to if and the different tense. If it rains today, the consequence, I will go to the city centre. If I spoke with my friend yesterday, the consequence, I would have mentioned the news. So basically it's related to if, but the conditional is a big part of grammar and it's interesting to learn. The active and the passive is another concept that's a little simple. So the active is the subject, the verb and the object. I drink the coffee. That's the active. And then the structure of the passive, it's necessary to change the position. The coffee, introduce an extra verb to be, is, because it's the present as the first sentence, the participle of the original sentence. Remember the third column. So the coffee is drunk by me. Okay, so that's the concept of the active and the passive, where you change the position. So for me, they are the most important tenses that you need to be very, very familiar with. And yesterday in the grammar class, some people have different levels, so it's definitely very possible that some people are really good with tenses and some people have a lot of difficulty with tenses. For me, in Spanish, puedo hablar en el presente, pero no puedo hablar en el pasado ni en el futuro. So in Spanish, I can only really comfortably speak in the present, but in the past I have a lot of difficulty in Spanish, and in the future I have a lot of difficulty. So I understand a lot of people have different abilities and different levels in relation to tenses. Okay, the next section is just grammar in general. So here we have a very important terms and very important terminology and vocabulary specific to grammar. So for example, noun, adjective, adverb, pronoun, modal verb, preposition. You have to be very familiar with these concepts. So first we have the noun, and the noun is basically a person, a place or a thing. Finger, head, table, chair, jacket. Noun, noun, noun. And every noun you need an article. In English we have two articles. We have a table or the table. A is indefinite, that's the technical name, indefinite article, and the is the definite article. So you need a table in general, but you want the table, so specific. It's the difference between general and specific. And there's two pronunciations possible, a table or a table. No real problem with the pronunciation, okay? There was one rule: when the noun begins with a vowel, and in English the vowels are a, e, I, o, u. So when the noun begins with a vowel, the general rule, the article, you need to put n. So here we have n, an apple. That's the general exception and the general rule that's very important, but there are some exceptions in relation to this rule, okay? The concept of countable and uncountable is very important for the noun. So is it possible to count the noun? For example, apple. One apple, two apples, three apples. Yes, you can count an apple. Water. One water, two water, three water. No, not exactly. Because we count one bottle of water, one glass of water, 1 litre. But water is not possible to count. So water is an example of uncountable, and apple is an example of countable. This is very important in relation to much and many. How much is related to uncountable. How much water do you want? How much chocolates do you want? How much energy do you have? But how many is related to countable. How many apples? How many people? How many telephones? How many televisions? How many bags? So the concept of countable and uncountable is very important in relation to how much and how many, okay? The adjective. So the position of the adjective is before the noun, and the function of the adjective is to describe the noun. So apple, an apple, article, noun, adjective. A big apple, and we eliminate the n because the adjective is b, it's not a vowel. So a big apple, a big house, a red car. So the adjective's function is to describe the noun, and the position of the adjective is before the noun, okay? Because in Spanish and Portuguese the position of the adjective is after, and this is the reason it's important in English. But that's okay, I think. And then comparative and superlative is a very important structure. So you are happy, I am happy, but he is happier than me, and he is happier than you, so he is the happiest. So it's happy, happier, happiest. That's called the comparative and the superlative with the adjective. But usually it's ER and EST. If the syllable is one syllable, the general rule, we add ER for comparative and we add EST for superlative. But if there is more than one syllable, for example, interesting, we say more interesting and most interesting. Okay, so there's a little rule, but there are a lot of exceptions with this rule. And sometimes it's not a big mistake if you say more happy. So people, of course, understand you if you say more happy or most happy. But technically correct is happier and happiest. Sometimes it's not a big mistake, but depending on the word, sometimes it's a very obvious error. So you have to be a little careful with that topic of comparative and superlative. Adverb. So the function of the adverb is to describe the verb, and the typical suffix of the adverb is ly. The suffix typical for the adverb is ly, and the function of the adverb is to describe the verb. The verb to drink, drink quickly, talk slowly. So the adverb describes the verb, and usually the adverb is after the verb. I drink quickly, you talk slowly. So the position of the adverb is usually after the verb, and the position of the adjective is usually before the noun. Okay, modal verbs. We have a special category of verbs in English called modal verbs, and you can see the list here of modal verbs. I can, you could, he may, she might, we shall. Okay, So the modal verbs are very important in English, and they are used in lots of situations. For example, can is related to ability and related to permission. So in relation to ability, you can play the piano, you can use the internet, it's your ability. And permission, you can enter the room, you can take an apple, you can take a chocolate cake. You're very happy, okay? So can is for permission and for ability. Could, may and might are for possibilities, okay? So the three have almost the same significance. Maybe may and might are a little more formal and a little more polite. So I could take the chocolate cake. It's an option, it's a possibility. I may take the chocolate cake. It's an option, it's a possibility. I might take the chocolate cake. Almost the same significance, really, okay? Shall is typical for a question and will. Shall we have the chocolate cake? Shall we eat the dinner? Shall we contact your friend? Shall we go to the park? It's the question will. It's a little formal, it's very frequent, and it's important for you to be aware of, okay? Should has the same significance as the next verb, and the next verb's pronunciation is difficult. The G is silent, ought to. So should is typical for recommendation and typical for advice. So you should go to your friend. You should eat the chocolate cake. It's my advice. You should eat the chocolate cake, because after you eat the chocolate cake, you will be very, very happy. So it's my advice and my recommendation that you ought to eat the chocolate cake and you should eat the chocolate cake. So the two have the same significance. It's recommendation or advice. But must is obligation. You must eat the chocolate cake because we have no other food. So this is the only option. You have to eat the chocolate cake. You must eat the chocolate cake. And must has the same significance as have to. You can see here they have the same. And in relation to my pronunciation, it's possible must. Sometimes in Dublin we say must, but really phonetically it's must. Okay, so that's a modal verb. The big rule about modal verb, the next verb is the infinitive, but we always eliminate two. So you must go, you might have, you could eat. That's correct. The error, and very, very common, very frequent, very typical error, you can to go, you must to eat. That's the error, because the rule, it's necessary to eliminate two. And yesterday in the grammar webinar, I explained this every morning, and the people who attended did not remember the rule. So it's the golden rule that after the modal verb, it's the next verb, we eliminate two. The exception is maybe have to go, have to eat. Okay, but with must go, must is very, very important. Prepositions. So we have maybe 150 prepositions in English. Prepositions are little words. You can see the list here: for, from, in, of. They're common prepositions, but the purpose and the function of the preposition is for direction, for movement and position. Okay, so talk. I talk in general, but direction. I talk to you. Okay, travel in general, but I travel to Ireland. I travel to Brazil. So prepositions are for direction, for movement, and also position. For example, the chocolate cake is on the table, the chocolate cake is under the table, the chocolate cake is in my mouth, the chocolate cake is beside the table, the chocolate cake in front of, below, above, under. So very important, really important prepositions. Okay, and I'll show you a list. Here we have a little list of maybe 150 typical prepositions. So you can find the list of prepositions on the internet. It's very easy. There are lots of lists, and there is lots of material on the internet for every part of English. Also teachers, there are a lot of English teachers on the internet, and probably a lot of free classes. So of course you can probably say goodbye to me and you can go and watch lots of other free classes. I don't mind. But prepositions are a big part of English for sure. The next section are pronouns. So this section is very common with the errors, and it's a very important area. So the technical vocabulary is possessive adjective, possessive pronoun or the object pronoun. Okay, so they're the three technical categories. Basically, the difference between my chocolate cake, it is my chocolate cake, or the chocolate cake is mine. Okay, it is his chocolate cake, but the chocolate cake is his. It is her chocolate cake, but the chocolate cake is hers with the S. So the detail with him, her, his, hers, he, and the detail with the third person is the most typically confused, and that area is very, very important. Or the third possibility, give the chocolate cake to me, I give the chocolate cake to you. So the difference between the possessive adjective, the possessive pronoun, and the object pronoun, they're the three technical areas, and they're definitely a big area because I have heard many times people confuse all of them. Okay, so you need to be very clear, and it's a very obvious error when people make that mistake. Okay, little detail, 2 topics, the difference between this, that, these, and those. So it's a very, very important area. Basically, this is singular here, this pen, this chocolate cake, and that is singular in a different position, that chocolate cake away, plural, these chocolate cakes, plural, in here, and those chocolate cakes away. Okay, so it's very important, the difference between this, that, these, and those. Also the difference between another, other, the other, and the others. Another is for typically singular noun, another day, another week, another year, another person, and other is typically for plural, other days, other weeks, other years, other chocolate cakes. A lot of chocolate cakes, I'm thinking, I hope maybe you're feeling a little hungry now. Okay, so that's important. The structure for the question is a big area in English. So how do you construct the question? And during the grammar webinars, one day we will discuss and we will analyse that topic. Okay, so that's the most important introduction for today. Suffixes and prefixes are important. So the little word or the letters we put at the end of the word is an indicator of the form of the word. So is the word a verb? Is it adjective? Is it noun? And here the suffix is a big indicator, and it's a big clue for identifying the structure of the word. Okay, so that's sufficient for today for the introduction. Another area, of course, is writing. So yesterday in the webinar I offered for the attendees to write to me, and I will correct your writing. So that's an option for everybody. You can write the topic about the weekend, the topic about Tuesday, the topic about football, the topic about a series. You can write what you want, but if you send to me, I can correct, and during the class I can show the corrections to everybody. For me, that would be fantastic. And exam preparation, we have created specific webinars for the Cambridge exams and for the IELTS exam. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. we have a webinar for IELTS. On Thursday at 4 p.m. we have a webinar for the advanced exam, and on Saturday at 1 p.m. on Saturday in Ireland we have a webinar for the B2 first certificate exam. So you can see all the information in the events section, and it's a good idea if you want to join. Okay, now again, if you want to participate in the class, this is the code. So if you want to join in the Zoom chat, it's you're welcome to join. I'm just trying to keep the meeting active because sometimes the meeting disconnects after 40 minutes, and I'll just find the chat because it's very important. Keep active. And now we will continue to the next section. So the next part of the class is in relation to phrasal verbs, and I want to continue with the list here of phrasal verbs, and it's a very long list, it's very big, but it's important we continue little by little. And the first phrasal verb is related to the letter H, and we are on page 10 of 20. So letter H, and I'll maybe zoom in a little. The first one is to have somebody over, and the significance is to invite guests to your home. So I think this is logical, this is clear. So tomorrow in the future we will have our friends over to our house. So the preposition over is very important because your house is here and your friend's house is here, and they go over to your house. So the preposition is relevant in this case. So yesterday we had my friend over for dinner, okay, or over to watch the football, over to drink a coffee. So come over, go over, have somebody over. It's possession. In a sense, you possess the visit, okay? So you have possession of the visit. Hear from, here. So there is a little difference between hear and listen. Listen is just general, and it's maybe an instruction in school. Maybe the teacher says, listen, como escucha in español. But hear is just in general. So at the moment, I can hear the birds, I can hear the television, but listen is more focused. I'm listening to the radio. Listen to me. So listen is very typical with the preposition to. And hear from is typical of preposition with your friend. So yesterday I heard from my friend. That has the significance. My friend contacted me yesterday. I heard from him. I heard from her. But maybe after a long time with no contact. And here it's possible exactly a letter. It's possible an email. But at the same time we use the verb hear. So normally hear is related to speaking. But we use this expression in relation to letter, in relation to text message. So yesterday, my friend sent me a text message, and it's possible for me, I heard from my friend yesterday. So it's no voice, but it's text. But still, we use this expression, okay? With the preposition of is very typical, hear of. And if I say to you, have you heard of chocolate bananas? So that means, have you ever before, at one moment in the past, have you ever seen, have you ever known about chocolate bananas? So hear of is the expression. And the two examples, I'm going to show you the two examples for the three examples. So I will zoom out a little. So the first example, why don't we have Mr. and Mrs. Jones over for dinner tonight? No problem, I think. So it's a question. We should. Why not? Why don't we? Okay. The second one, have you heard from Steve lately? Okay, so lately has the significance of recently. For example, lately I am feeling very hungry in the morning. Lately the weather is very bad, and the significance is recently. So maybe it's a false friend because late is in relation to time. The football match is late. It's on at 10 o'clock. You are late, so you arrive to the party late. And also you need to be very sure with latest. Okay, the latest news, the latest information. That's the typical structure. Latest news, latest technology. Because somebody, or well, a lot of people make a little error with this when you speak English. Because some people say the last technology or the last news. But no, not exactly. In English, the most typical is the latest news, and the significance is the most recent news or the latest technology. This is definitely more typical than last. So there's a big difference in my opinion, and a big difference in conversation between latest and last. Okay, for example, last episode. It's a little tricky because sometimes you can say the last episode and the latest episode have the same significance, but in relation to news and in relation to technology, it's definitely more common the latest. So just be conscious of that in the future. Okay. And the third example, have you heard of? So the significance is, do you know the existence? Have you heard of chocolate covered ants? So a very strange example, almost stranger than my example of the chocolate banana, but the chocolate covered ants, hormigas, I think in Espanol, the little insects. Very strange example. Okay, the next one is a little bit more specific. So the first three are probably general, and you understand, I think, the first three. But the next two, to hit on, is possible. And in my opinion, I suppose the second is more typical in conversation. But the first is, here is the example. I'll just make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see. Yeah, so the first example is here. And yeah, okay. So obviously the verb to hit is in Espanol golpear. In Portuguese, I don't know exactly, but hit the ball, hit the table, hit my arm. To hit on has the significance to find unexpectedly. So if you are a scientist and you are investigating and you are researching, you are trying to find a vaccine for the virus, and you're experimenting, no success, but eventually you hit on the result, you hit on the success. So hit on is like have success or find the solution. In my opinion, it's not so common in this context, but it is possible. And here's the example. In the past, I hit on the idea while watching the Simpsons show. So he was watching the Simpsons, or she was watching the Simpsons, and suddenly she had the idea. She hit the idea, like eureka. Okay, so that is possible, hit on. But in my opinion, the second example is definitely more frequent in conversation. So to hit on a person. So of course, hit the person is, for example, my brother hits me. Okay, so number one, hit the person. But if you have hit on, the significance is completely different. And it's related to romantic situations. It's related to the bar. Very typical in the pub and the bar. And maybe the girl hits on the boy. And the significance, the girl chats to the boy and she has a big interest in the boy. So the girl is hitting on the boy. Or of course the boy can hit on the girl, which has the significance the boy is asking a lot of questions. The boy is very interested. And there's another phrasal verb, to chat up. So here they use the verb to flirt. And flirt is like very romantic conversation, very romantic chat. But we have another phrasal verb, to chat somebody up. And the significance is to flirt, or the significance is to hit on somebody. Okay, so to hit on in that context is definitely more common. Well, it's very common in my opinion, of course, in movies, in series. He is hitting on the girl, she is hitting on the boy, like flirting or chatting up. So very good vocabulary. And here's the example. Jay's friend Mark was trying, that's the past continuous, okay, past continuous, was trying to hit on my sister last night. So that's the possessive adjective. My sister, your sister, his sister. Okay, so very important. Interesting, very important detail. Okay, the next one is very good as well and very common. Hold back. Okay, so hold is the typical verb with this action. Hold the pen. Typical with the children or your friend, hold the hand. Okay, hold a bottle, hold the water. Very, very important verb to hold. We also say hold on. So on is the preposition. So if you hold on, the significance is maybe you are falling, you are having difficulty, and you need to hold on. So hold on means the significance to wait, because you are falling. So the instruction is to wait, and we get people to help you. So hold on has the significance to wait. Okay, here we say hold back, and this is very, very typical in conversation. Hold back. So I am very angry, I'm really annoyed, I'm really frustrated, and I want to say my opinion, I want to express my anger, but I decide to hold back. So I wait, and I hold back. Okay. We also say maybe bite your tongue. Your lengua is this, and lengua is bite is morder to lengua. So to hold back has the significance to bite your tongue, and that's a metaphor. In relation, an idiom, to bite your tongue means to not say what you really want to say. So you're really angry and you want to say a lot of bad things, but you decide to bite your tongue. So you decide to wait. Also, it's possible lip. You can bite your lip. Lip is labia. So if you bite your lip, the significance is to hold back and to wait and not say everything bad that you want to say. So very, very important vocabulary. And again, back is important because forward is attack. So again, there's a significance with the emotion and the preposition. So go forward is like attack and advance, and hold back is defend and retreat. So bite your tongue or bite your lip. Okay, very, very typical conversation expressions and very important vocabulary for sure. To hold back, to hold on. Yeah, we have another phrasal verb. We say to hold out and to hold off. Okay, so to hold off and to hold... Oh my god, my typing is terrible. I need an assistant. I need somebody to type for me because it's very difficult. So to hold out has the significance you are waiting, so it's similar to waiting, but usually you're waiting for something better. So it's typical in contract negotiations. You're negotiating your contract, negotiating, and you decide to hold out, and you're waiting, and they continue, a better offer, and then you take the better offer. So to hold out has the same significance to wait, and it's usually you're waiting for another option. So this company offer you the contract and you hold out, you wait, and then you wait for the other company to give you the contract. That's very important, okay? So it's typical in negotiations and typical for contract. Here, contract or negotiations. And the next example is to hold off, and this is more general. Yes, it's to wait as well, but it's very general, and you can use this in a lot of situations. So in relation to buying a new television, buying a new laptop, buying a new telephone, I want to hold off until January. So the significance is you want to wait. I want to hold off until January. The wedding. So we plan to have the wedding in January, but we decide to hold off until March. So we decide to wait. So it's a delay. It's flexible and it's possible in every situation. And it is similar to hold out, but hold out has the context of the contract negotiations, okay, or an offer. It's connected in the context hold out for an offer, and hold off is just general for everything. Okay, so it's very interesting detail. And here's the example. So the first example, hold back, is when you have your opinion and you want to keep your opinion. But of course it's possible literal as well. And here it's irregular. So the verb to hold and the past is held. So it's irregular verb. The demonstrators are the people, like a demonstration is a substantive or the noun, a demonstration. A demonstrator is the person, and the verb is to demonstrate. This is an example of the suffixes. And here you hold the protesters and you hold the demonstrators back. So the significance are the police are physically defending. Okay, hold back, defending. It's typical in the army or in the military. You have the army and the soldiers, and the general has the order, hold back. So hold back is to wait again. So they're all very connected basically, and they all have a very similar significance at the bottom. Okay. Hold back is also possible with your opinion. So for example, criticism. And if you want to criticize somebody, and imagine the person criticizes a lot, it's a typical expression that you say he did not hold back. So if you are very angry and you do not hold back, of course it's the opposite. You attack, you criticize. So it's a very typical expression. He did not hold back. She did not hold back. She was very critical. She was very angry. So it is very common in conversation, but also with the same significance in relation to school. Imagine the two students, okay, and the ability of this student is maybe better ability than this student, okay. So this student is asking questions, does not understand, delay, very slow in relation to understanding the question or the topic, and this student understands perfectly. But in this case, it's possible to say this student is holding this student back. So it's related to progress, and of course no progress in that example. And here's the situation. So the teacher held Frank, so again it's the past irregular, hold, held Frank back a year, so the result, he could not, modal verb possibility, enter is the next verb, 5th grade. Okay, so to hold somebody back is to stop their progression and to maybe delay. Okay, so very flexible as well. And here's the next example. We said with delay, hold back on the telephone, hold back on the new item or the new purchase. Okay, and here's the example. We should, it's a recommendation, it's advice or recommendation. The next verb is the infinitive to hold, but because it's the modal verb, we eliminate to. So we should hold off on making dinner until your parents arrive. Very, very simple example, very good example. So the significance is we should wait, we should not cook until your parents arrive. Very, very fluent, very easy for native speakers, very normal for native speakers, but maybe a little difficult for people learning English. And this is the reason phrasal verbs are very, very important. Okay, hold on is relation to the hand. Remember, hold on, or if you are falling, you hold on. And the verb we say is to grasp. Grasp is like to grab. So we have some vocabulary, okay, in relation that is very similar. To grasp is very similar to grab, but the context is maybe different. So to grab is maybe physical. Grab my arm is like this action, which of course is the same as grasp. So yes, they are almost the same, but the difference, grasp is typical for understanding. So imagine I study Japanese, I study, and I do not understand. I'm no progress, so I do not grasp Japanese because I don't understand. So to grasp has the significance to understand or to control. So I don't know, in English, are you able to grasp the concept? Are you able to grasp the idea? Are you able to understand? So the context really is to understand, okay? And to grab is maybe more physical, and it's typical in the context for food. So you want to grab a coffee, you want to grab a sandwich, you want to grab a biscuit, and it means to take. Typical for food, very, very quickly. Okay, so to grab a coffee, to grab a chocolate cake, of course, to grab a sandwich, and the significance is to take very, very quickly and maybe take away. Okay, so tight is very important as well. For example, my shirt is very tight, and the opposite is loose. So if you grasp tightly, and here it's the adverb, the ly is the adverb. So if you grasp tightly, the significance is very, very strong grasp. Okay, and remember, tight is in relation to adjective. And again, I told you with the clothes are very tight. It's possible with the time. So your plane is at 2 o'clock, your flight is at 2 o'clock, but you arrive to the airport at 10 minutes before the flight. So the time is very, very tight. So it's possible with time, it's possible with clothes, and it's possible with money. I think I explained this concept a few weeks ago. So if the person is very tight with money, in Espanol it's tacaño. Okay, so if the person's very tight, they are not generous, they do not spend a lot of money, they are very mean or very tight. So in relation to money, we say mean or tight person, or tight with money. Okay, and in relation to clothes or time, we say it's tight as well, time as well. And also, of course, for the ladies, the tights are I think the same word. Okay, I'm a little confused because we have two words. We have tight and we have thigh, but I think it's the first word, like the socks, the long socks are the tights, but the thigh is the muscle on the leg. So your leg, you have like the quadricep is in English the thigh, or if you eat chicken, you eat thigh, the chicken thigh, which is the leg of the chicken. So for the socks, I think they are tights. Okay, very good. And the verb is to tighten. Again, the suffix, the en, is a typical suffix for a verb. For example, soften, darken, lighten. So en is a typical suffix to represent a verb. Okay, tighten, to darken, to lighten, to soften. It's possible, a lot of verbs with en. Okay, but here there is an expression to tighten, and we have a very famous expression in relation to tighten your belt. So the belt is related to the clothes. For my trousers, I have a belt, but on the aeroplane, you close your belt. But the expression to tighten your belt is in relation to financial situations. So if you have suddenly a problem with income, suddenly you lose a lot of money, suddenly you have a lot of stress in relation to money, so you need to make decisions about what you buy. So you cannot buy chocolate, you cannot buy a lot of food, you have to tighten your belt. So you have to be careful with money, okay? To be more careful with money. So it's a very typical expression, to tighten your belt. Okay, and here is the example. So hold on tight, obviously in the context of the roller coaster. So the roller coaster is the montaña rusa. And of course you can say life is a roller coaster. That's a typical expression. Is about to, this is the moment just before the verb. I am about to contact my friend. So I will contact my friend very, very soon. I am about to watch the football. I will watch the football very, very soon. So about to is doing the action very, very soon. And take off is physical in terms of the clothes. I take my jacket off, number one. But the aeroplane takes off. And of course the roller coaster, it's possible to say the roller coaster takes off because it's similar concept to the aeroplane. And relation to take off, it's typical for a company. If your business is very successful at the beginning, the business takes off. So it's all similar concepts, but just different contexts, okay? Okay, that's really, really good vocabulary, really good phrasal verbs. And again, the tell somebody to wait is exactly the same. Hold on, because you need to wait, and I will come to help you because you have a problem, so you need to hold on. Again, it's the same, no problem, hold on to. And hold out is what we said. Hold out is when you're waiting for a better offer. And you can see the example, not to give in. So to give in is a phrasal verb to quit. So rendirse, nunca rendirse is like never quit or never give in or never give up. Okay, so we have a few phrasal verbs. To give in, to give up, or to quit is the significance of rendirse. Okay, so typically with permission, and for the teenager and the parent, the typical negotiation, the teenager wants to go to the party and says, Mom, can I go to the party? Can I go? And eventually the mother gives in. So the significance of in is important because she's very resistant, very strong, but eventually, finally collapse. She gives in and she says, okay, you can go. And give up is the same because resistance, and then you give up, you quit. So the prepositions are related to movement, and they usually are logical and usually associated a little with emotion. Okay, and again the same, hold out against. Okay, that's really good, and we will continue a little with the idioms. So now we have a list here of the idioms, and I want to explain some of the idioms. But before I continue with the idioms, I will remind you that you can join the meeting if you want. So if you want to participate in the meeting, again on Zoom you can connect, and I'm going to continue the chat because I want to keep the class active. So I'll just say active, and again you are welcome to join the conversation to practice a little, and that's the code here for the class. And now we will continue with the list of idioms. Okay, so idioms of course are very, very important, and sorry, I did not show you that for a long time. Yeah, that's the code. Okay, so if you have any questions in relation to the phrasal verbs, if you have any questions in relation to the prepositions, in relation to the grammar, in relation to the idioms, or if you want to practice your speaking, you can join the meeting here with Zoom with the ID and the passcode. That is possible. Okay, so I will leave this here for the moment. And the first so the last example we had was method to my madness. So if you remember last week, we saw method to my madness, and the significance of method to my madness has the meaning. Okay, you can see here I'm having a little delay with the PDF, but if there is method to your madness, that means your technique, For example, teacher. If you are a teacher and your technique is very crazy, your technique is very strange, but people think it's crazy, people think it's very strange, but really you have the method, you have a strategy behind the crazy. So there's method to your madness, has the significance that there is strategy and tactics really behind the seemingly crazy situation. Okay, mile a minute is very, very famous. So a mile, you need to know the difference between a mile and a kilometer. So a kilometer I think is maybe more typical in Europe, I think so, and a mile is maybe more typical in the United Kingdom. But the expression is a mile a minute. So if you travel 1 mile every minute, you're probably very, very fast. Okay, so that's the significance. If you speak a mile a minute, you speak very, very fast. If the movie is a mile a minute, the class is a mile a minute, the significance is very, very, very fast. Okay, so really, really good conversation and really good expression, a mile a minute. And I'm just going to close this here. Find the next expression is to miss the boat. And this is very, very typical in conversation with my friends. When I grow up and when I grew up, this expression is very, very famous, and we have this expression very typical. So to miss the boat, first the verb to miss and to lose. You need to be careful with the difference between to miss and to lose. So to lose is maybe more physical. If you cannot find your telephone, you cannot find your keys, you have lost your telephone. Okay, you have lost your keys. But to miss is typical with the bus. So you try to get the bus, you try to catch the bus, but you miss the bus, or you miss your flight. So the context is so important, and I have heard many people confuse miss and lose. So miss is typical for the flight, it's typical for the bus, it's typical for a meeting or an appointment. You have an appointment and you miss your appointment, number one. Number two, it's emotional. Echar de menos in Espanol, emotional. I miss my family, I miss my friends, I miss my dog, I miss Madrid, I miss the sunny weather, I miss the sun. So there's a big difference between to miss and to lose. So be very, very careful here. So to miss the boat has the same significance as to miss the bus, to miss the train, to miss the plane. But it's a metaphor in relation to something cool, something trendy, like an opportunity. Okay, so for example, Instagram. Instagram is very new and you have the opportunity to join Instagram, but you decide no, because I don't think it's a good idea. It's not very big, it's a very small company. So you decide no, but eventually the company is very big, so you miss the opportunity. So to miss the boat is the significance to miss the opportunity. In informal situations with my friends, we say to get the boat. And to get the boat means like vete ya, like go away, I don't believe you, get the boat, you know, it's ridiculous, I don't believe you, go away, has the significance to get the boat in relation to conversation. Okay, so that's very, very informal, but it's very common in conversation in Ireland or in England, I'm sure. Monkey business is something maybe a bit ridiculous because the behavior of the monkey is typically crazy, it's typically stupid, it's typically silly. So if it's monkey business, it's maybe silly behavior, silly activity. So maybe the kids, they're doing maybe monkey business. It's possible, but there is possible a verb to monkey around has the significance maybe to joke around or to be silly, to act stupid and to act like silly, I suppose, monkey business. A month of Sundays is very typical as well. And of course the stereotype with Sunday is very slow, Sunday is very lazy, Sunday takes a long time, you know, you have school the next day and Sunday night is very boring. So Sunday is very slow. So can you imagine 1 month of Sundays? So this is a metaphor for a month, which is very, very long, a very long time. So maybe with the COVID, with the pandemic, you have had a lot of months of Sundays, and that means you have had a very boring, a very slow time. So it's a good expression. Murphy's Law, I think, is very international. It's very famous. It's definitely in the United States. It's very typical. And I think it's the rule that if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. So the disaster, it's something, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. Okay? Murphy's Law. Personally, I don't use this expression a lot, and I'm not familiar really so much myself, but it is possible and it is typical to use it. Okay, so the next one, I think I just skipped. So that was Murphy's Law. And the next page is here. Never in a million years is general and very important. So nunca, never in Spanish, never in a million years. And we have another expression, when pigs fly. So, for example, football. I support Manchester United, so I will never support Liverpool is a joke, but that's typical in football. So you can say never in a million years will he support this team. So it will never happen. Never in a million years. It's dramatic. And then you can say he will support Liverpool when pigs fly. So pigs is cerdo. Cuando cerdos volar. I think it's the same in Spanish. So the significance is it's very unusual. Pigs, of course, never fly. So you will never do it. So never in a million years has the significance when pigs fly. Okay, when pigs fly. And there's maybe a few more. No time like the present is very famous as well. So you have a discussion with your friend, you have a conversation with your friend, and you speak about the cafe. Oh, I know a fantastic cafe. And your friend says, no time like the present. So this is a significance to now is the best time to go. There is no better time, no time like the present. So it's a typical expression, and the significance is now is the best moment to do it. Okay, I think you understand. I don't think it's too difficult. No time to lose, again, is typical. So remember the verb to lose, and the structure of the verb is to lose, but the past simple is I lost. Lose, lost, and the noun is loss, L-O-S-S. So you need to be very, very careful with this family because it's a little irregular. Lose, lost is the past, and the loss is the noun. And it's typical in death. When somebody dies, or an animal dies, or somebody dies, you can say, I am sorry for your loss, or I am sorry for the loss. That's a typical expression to express your condolences, or to express that you are sorry when somebody has died. Okay. Also in sport, you say the team suffered a loss, or had a victory, or suffered a loss. So the noun is important, L-O-S-S. The past simple is L-O-S-T. Also an adjective, you are lost in relation to geography. In relation to Japanese, you are lost, you have no idea. In the city centre, you are lost, you have no orientation. But the verb is to lose. Okay, but be careful because there's a different verb, to loosen. You remember tight, my shirt is very tight, and loose is the opposite, apretado, I think. So the verb to loosen is to open. So maybe with the restrictions, hopefully soon we can loosen the restrictions. And it's an instruction as well to loosen up, has the significance to relax. So don't be so serious, loosen up, relax, enjoy, loosen up, okay? To let, and then finally, maybe before we speak to the participant, I think we have a participant on Zoom, so just one or two more. No letting grass grow. So let has the same as permit. So I let you. So there's one rule with the verb to let, has the significance to permit. Okay, and the rule, the next verb after let, we eliminate to. So you let me go. You let me have. That's correct. The incorrect, you let me to have. You let me to go. So this is incorrect. The rule, it's necessary to eliminate to for the next verb. Okay, and here the next verb is grow. This is the reason we eliminate to. So not letting grass grow. The error, not letting grass to grow. Grass is typically in the garden, in Stephen's Green, in the park. You have the grass, hierba, I think in Espanol, the grass. Also, A grass, informal, is somebody who reveals the information. So if you have a secret group and you have secret information, very sensitive information, very important information, and one person in the group tells the information to another person, this person is a grass. So it's very informal, but the significance is the person tells the secret to another person. Okay, a grass. And yeah, I think that's the most typical. I had another expression, but now I've forgotten it. Grass grow under your feet. And remember, 1 foot is singular and 2 feet is plural irregular. Okay, so singular foot and 2 feet is plural. And the significance is not to wait. Do not stay in the same position too long. So it's a good idea to continue to move, to be active, to have a lot of activities, to try different things, because if you stay in the one position, the grass will grow. Okay, yeah, okay, I think that's important. So that is a good class today. That was the introduction with grammar. We continued with the phrasal verbs, okay, and now we continued with some idioms. So now we will connect with Katie, hopefully. If you want to participate, Katie, just raise your hand or send a comment if you're available. And before we finish, remember, we have the social media. If you want to connect on Instagram, @miglioreinglés, and Twitter and YouTube, remember, everything is free. I'm very happy in the morning to teach for free. If you want to support me, if you want to make a little contribution of maybe €1, this will be a very, very good help for me, and it will permit me to continue, or it will let me continue, or it will allow me continue giving free classes. It will be very big help for me. It's possible by Bizum in Spain. With the telephone number, you can donate, or possible by Revolut also, and the bank transfer, the bank details here, or by PayPal. So there are 4 options if you want to donate and support me, and it will be a very, very big help for me, and it will be big boost and big encouragement. So thank you also to everybody who has helped me so far, and hopefully we can continue in this way. And also, finally, today we have another class at 4 p.m. and it's specifically in relation to sports vocabulary and sports and football vocabulary, and we will look at listening and some articles, but also hopefully if the group is small we can definitely practice some speaking in this class. So it's 4 o'clock in Dublin, and if you want to register, just send me a message and we can confirm your registration, and it's by Zoom, and there's a small price of €2.90 for the hour, approximately 1 hour. Okay, super. So now I'm going to connect with Katie. So fingers crossed you are okay. Perfect. We have a chat, so hopefully that is Katie wanting to participate. So let me just move my information because I need to find the chat. I assume I'm going to ask you to unmute. Okay, so let me see, and I'll make some comments here on the left, and hopefully we can see everything. Katie, can you hear? Catherine, can you hear me?
Yes, teacher. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Very good. Enjoying the morning here, so it's 12:30.
Okay.
How are you?
Good, good. It is early in the morning.
Oh, really? Where are you?
I'm from Colombia.
Okay, wow. And what's life like at the moment in Colombia?
I don't understand. Was like?
Yeah, the life in Colombia at the moment. The life is very, yeah.
The moment, the life. Good. In this moment, we have a sunny day.
Oh, okay. Probably every day is a sunny day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some days it's rainy. I live in Bogota.
Okay.
And the city is very high.
Yeah.
And rainy in some occasions.
Really. maybe one time per month?
I believe that in the month it's rainy. It's rainy. I don't know. 15 days.
Okay, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. In Ireland, in the month, it probably rains maybe 30 days in the month we have rain.
Yes. Here in the morning it's sunny and more late rainy.
Yeah.
So.
And you live near the city centre, or you live outside the city centre?
I live in the city centre.
Oh, fantastic. So probably Bogota is very active, a lot of people.
Yes. It's a big city. We have 7 million of persons living in Bogota.
Okay, wow. And do you recommend to visit Bogota?
Yes, it's a beauty city.
Good. Have you visited Europe before?
Yes, I visited Berlin and also Spain.
Yeah.
But I don't know United Kingdom.
Okay. And what part of Spain did you visit?
Madrid.
Yeah.
And other city. I don't remember the name.
Yeah.
Near of Africa.
Oh,
for
yes.
for the side of Africa. So beautiful.
Maybe Morocco.
But in Spain.
Oh, yeah.
The limit with
Melilla, is it Ceuta and Melilla, something like that?
Okay.
Yeah. And Madrid, did you like Madrid?
Yes, it's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
Maybe all the cities in Europe have many history.
Yeah.
And beautiful buildings.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful.
Yeah. I lived in Madrid for a long time, and Madrid is fantastic. It's obviously a beautiful city, very historic, and I think a lot of people from Colombia in Madrid also.
Oh yes.
Of course.
Yes. The migration of the Colombian people are very big.
Yeah. But maybe in Ireland, maybe people from Colombia in Ireland, I think, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my English is... I am freezing.
Oh, really? Oh, no. Pero yo hablo en español también, y si puedes hablar, no problema, si quieres comunicar.
Perfecto.
And do you study English at the moment?
Yes, I study English. In this moment I am studying for speaking. So for improve my skills in speaking. Here I don't have people with for speaking this.
Really, in Bogota, there's no possibility?
In this moment, it's more difficult for the pandemic, and yet the people are so in her house, and it's difficult find people for speak English.
And at the moment you have the opportunity on the internet.
Yes, it's very good. It's very good.
Yeah.
The internet is a good opportunity.
Absolutely.
For now people and speak many things.
Yeah. And today in Bogota, what is your plan this morning in Colombia today?
In this moment, at 7 in the morning,
Yeah.
and I work.
Yeah.
Yes, I work at the 8.
Okay.
I take this class for soltar la lengua.
Yeah, maybe to soltar is like to jump.
Okay.
Yeah, a little. But
Okay.
do you have a long day? So you start work at 8 o'clock and you finish work at maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock?
Yes. Maybe 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So a little early. At the 4 o'clock.
Okay, good. So I hope you enjoy your day. I hope you have a good day at work.
Thank you, teacher, and good day for everybody.
Super. Muchísimas gracias, Catherine, y pasa un buen día y ojalá que hablamos pronto.
Gracias, profesor.
De nada. Adios. Perfecto. Okay, that was Catherine, and super to participate. So that's good. I don't have to remove. Great. And again, if you want to, if anybody wants to join now, we have a few more minutes if you want to connect. And again, the code is there. But if nobody connects, it's maybe a good time as well to finish. So I think we have nobody waiting, so just to double check that we have no participants waiting. Yeah, so again, thank you very much everybody for attending the class. I hope that you enjoyed the class. I hope it helps a little, and tomorrow we plan to continue a little. Again, today we have another class at 4 o'clock in Dublin, and that's the plan. So thank you so much, Catherine, and again, we have social media on Instagram at Mejor Inglés, and Twitter and YouTube. And again, if you want to support me to help with a small donation, there are the information if you want to help and make a small contribution, a small donation. It would help a lot. Okay, thank you so much everybody. Have a great day and enjoy everything, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.